Hi guys, my name's Will and welcome back to the channel. So on today's episode we are going to be talking about 5 horror movies that are based on true events. Not top 5, just I've picked 5 horror because there's actually hundreds. I realise basically every horror movie is based on a true event, close enough, or loosely based on a true event. So I've just picked 5 that I've found online to talk about. So the first one I like to talk about is the Amityville Horror. So I read the book about this after I watched the movie, and it says in the end of the book that this could basically take it with a pinch of salt because this basically could all be a scam set up by the Lutz family. I think I've got that right. Yeah, the Luz or Lutz family. Basically, they bought a house. So the house that they bought, what's his name called? Donald Defoe or Defoe, basically killed his whole family in the house, and then the Lutz family came in and bought the house, and basically they got. It seems like they were making up story. They basically put all their money into the house, and because they put so much money into the house, they couldn't afford anything else really. So they thought we would make up stories, and that's how they got the movie deal. That's how they got the book deals. Apparently, there's 11 movies based on the Amityville Horror, which I've never ever seen. I've only saw the Amityville Horror itself, but yeah, it was just basically a big scam so they can reap more money in. So yeah, Amityville Horror is based on the Amityville Horror house, and the Lutz family seems to be big fraudsters to get money back. So yeah, based on a true story, but is it real? Maybe, maybe not. Highly unlikely though. The second one is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street. So this one gave me goosebumps when I read it. So basically, there was a Southeast Asian refugee that had nightmares constantly, and I'm not sure if this is fact or fiction. This part, but he mentioned what I've seen and what I've heard. He has mentioned that the guy or the person in these nightmares had finger knives, like a claw fingers, and a farmer's hat, a sort of top hat, or some sort of hat that resembles Freddy Krueger's hat. So yeah, he eventually died in his sleep, and there was 26 other men who also died in their sleep, and that's where Wes Craven got the inspiration of A Nightmare on Elm Street, because these guys are having the same dreams as each other, and then eventually they just wound up dead. Like I had, it's so weird to even think about. Like they were all having the same sort of dreams, and then all of a sudden, basically 27 people have dead because of it. This was 1981, I think this was. So yeah, it's absolutely bonkers to me that that could actually happen in real life. So the next one is Scream, the original Scream film. Basically, Kevin Williamson saw on, I think it's either a special or a news report of some kind on TV, that they were classed as the Gainesville murders, and basically this guy went about. I don't know if it was the same night or different nights, but basically this guy killed a lot of high school students, and that's when, as soon as Kevin Williamson saw that on TV, he basically instantly went and started writing the script for Scream. It's just, I think it's crazy that so many of these horror movies, obviously they're based on true events, but I'm like, so crazy that when you're watching horror movies, you're not even thinking that they're based on anything or loosely based on anything. You're just watching them for pure pleasure or pure horror, and it's just based on such a tragic event. So yeah, it's these are, they're weird to talk about, but at the same time, it is fun to talk about. in a sense. Obviously, not people who've died, but yeah, it's just crazy that these horror movies are based on these sort of events. Crazy. So yeah, on to the next one. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. I'm going to put them in together because they're based on the same person. That is Ed Gein. So Ed Gein basically dug up graves and used people's bones, like made keepsakes for them, like necklaces and stuff like that. And they also took their skin, like their face skin, and made like lamps and stuff for them. It is so that's where obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I feel gets it more than Psycho, because obviously with the keepsakes with the bones and like the face and stuff like that, like he used like I don't think he actually wore the faces that Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Leatherface did, but I know that he made lamps and stuff for them, and he's also reportedly been wearing women's clothes. So that's obviously more Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the first one I think he wore women's clothes, or the second one. But yeah, and then Psycho, it's really loosely based on, but I think, as I said, it's more Texas Chainsaw Massacre that Ed Gein is based on. If you want to look him up, go look him up. It's a fascinating story to look into. This Ed Gein, he's absolutely a nutcase. And so yeah, Ed Gein, Texas Chainsaw Massacre slash Psycho. The last one is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. So this was loosely based off a German girl called just Ainsley Michelle. Ainsley Michelle. Ainsley, I'll just call her Ainsley from now. Basically, this is a young German woman who The Exorcism of Emily Rose is loosely based on. And basically, the parents and the priest, they got charged with, basically, Ainsley died of malnutrition and no, I think it's neglectful malnutrition or something like that, and dehydration. So, but she basically died because she's getting neglected, and they were thinking that she was possessed by a demon. So the parents got charged, and the priest also got charged. So I don't know if they ended up in jail. I don't know if they got prison time, but I definitely know they got charged with basically her murder. Basically, they just neglected her. I think that's like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Exorcist, The Conjuring, all these sort of movies. I feel like back in the times, maybe you might have got away with a possessed or whatever, like in the 70s, 60s, 50s, sort of that sort of region. The priest might have thinks it's obviously highly religious, so maybe back in the day you might have thought that like they were possessed by a demon, but then you get to these modern times and you're like, no, they're just mentally ill. They needed help. They needed mental help, and then obviously back in the day, oh, they were possessed. Oh, they're possessed. Put them away. So yeah, last one was Exorcism of Emily Rose. So that was my 5 horror movies based on true events. It was my top 5 because there's so many to make my top 20. This is just 5 horror movies based on true events. If I haven't mentioned any that you like, leave a comment on this video and I'll see you on the next one.